What you gonna do, brother?
Oh, yeah!
Woo! What? What?
If you smell what the rock...
You got the wrong guy. I'm the dude, man.
Welcome to another edition of Around the Turnbuckle. I'm the Big Alboski. That guy right there is Professor Keith, as always. And joining us, man, from Tennessee, Jae Ex No-One or Jae Ex No-One. Take your pick. What's up, brother?
Hey, not too much, just well, actually quite a bit. But this weekend I had a couple shows and stuff, and doing great.
Well, tell us before we get into where you started. Tell us what's going on like right now. Like how are things going right now as far as the professional wrestling side of your life?
So it's I've been back after 8 years for about 8 matches now, and it's going great. There's a lot of great guys I've been working with at ISWA and TWA, and they've been teaching me a whole lot, and it's going great right now. Wonderful.
Awesome. All right. So we asked this of everybody, and Keith knows this, right? We've been doing this now for 18 months, and we've interviewed, man, I swear, over 100 wrestlers at least. And the question is, once upon a time, Jay, before you stepped into that ring, before you started learning how to do this, you were a fan just like us.
Totally.
And just like us, at one point or another, you fell in love with wrestling. Can you tell us how, where, when, how old were you that you fell in love with wrestling?
So I was probably about 8 years old. I had already been doing amateur wrestling for a couple years because my brother-in-law was like a state champion. And hey, what's up, Thundercat?
Thundercat Greg Winters in the house, baby.
And so I was on the playground, and I heard some kids were fake fight, just like pretending to like be mad at each other and stuff. Because they were talking about WCW versus NWO, and I was like, "What is this?" And so I started watching WCW, and it was very colorful and a lot of action. You know what I mean? And I was really into it. And then my other friend was like, "Oh, I like WWF," and I hadn't even watched that. And then I started watching that, and it was like Viscera versus Gangrel. It was like a blood bucket match or something. Didn't really watch that too much for a while. And plus, my parents wouldn't really let me watch WWF. They were okay with me watching WCW. Except when Nitro Girls came on, they wanted me not to watch. But nice. Yeah, that was the beginning, and then but really my love for it probably came in 2005. Like my interest in actually doing it was whenever Danielson, Ring of Honor, all that stuff.
Okay. So would you consider, say, Bryan Danielson one of your influences?
Oh, the number one influence for sure. Also Johnny Saint, Zack Sabre Jr., Mike Quackenbush, Sarah Del Rey. Minomi Toyota, like Dean Malenko, Arn Anderson.
Music to my ears. All of those.
You're barking up the right tree with
exactly. All performers I have so much respect for. I love what they do. It's credible. It looks like a sport. It looks competitive. What their shit is. It's not pretty. It's not phony. It's not. Oh, there's no way anybody could possibly do that. I love it. I love good technical mat wrestling.
Yeah, that's my style. I love Pancrase even. Like I know it's kind of boring for some people, but I love Suzuki, and all that.
Awesome. So when did you start training? When did you say, all right, I want to do this? And then where did you go? Who did you talk to? Like who started training you?
So initially I started taking out cheerleader mats and taking bumps after reading McFoley's book when I was like 15. So probably taking them wrong, let me say, you know what I mean? Like probably not landing as well as I should. And, but then, I started like, I went to, my kid's mom, was neighbors with, Matt Weiss, who's a local wrestler, Ego Pro. And he does like strong style stuff and like with, Evan Turner and, the past, Nino Sparks, who's amazing. Jay Sparks, still wrestles, amazing wrestler. And they got me involved with Ego Pro Wrestling. And Barry helped train me, Barry Allen, and then Dave Pillman. was my other trainer. And we had access to a ring every day for and so I was able to wrestle like 7 hours a day for that first year, just about if I wanted to. Now, a lot of time that was just wrestling dummy because nobody else was there, using the bag with the things you can hold on to. But that was, I guess that was, I'm trying to think back. So I wrestled about 4 years the first time, 4 years the first time, including training, I guess. So 4 years. And that would have been 2008, I guess, 2000 to 2012 ish, 2013 ish, maybe 2009, 2013. And then I just came back recently, but in between time, I was in the ring a few times. I trained a little bit. I definitely worked on my strikes a lot, learning how to do those, and watched a lot, researched a lot, and the business changed because I was a smaller guy. I was basically a bump dummy, to be honest. Back when I was in, and I could take crazy bumps, and I sell real well, and so people used me for that, utilized me in that, and I didn't know a lot, so it was understandable. But also the business has changed. Danielson, CM Punk, these guys are able to be champions, and they're my size. And so it's easier to be taken seriously now. I think that's the culture's just changed in a lot of ways in a positive way.
Is that why the layoff? Because you were kind of worried, hey, they're using me as this bump machine. I can sell really well, but I don't see myself going past the carpenter level. They're kind of just using me for that, and it doesn't feel like there's an opportunity to go up and be featured.
Well, not necessarily, because TWA, I worked for TWA back then too. They were using me great. They were using my heel stuff that I could do because I could get heat. Because I was like an anarchist character, and I would call everybody a fascist and hand out them Goldman pamphlets and stuff like that, and I would get a lot of heat in the South. And so that was before 2016. This is back in the day. So this is and so they did use me well. I don't think that they didn't use me well. I don't think that I was. I mainly left because I had 2 kids that were young, and I wasn't going to be able to travel the way that I needed to be able to get myself in the business the way that I needed to.
Family first. I respect that.
So you came back, you made your comeback. Of course, probably the pandemic probably slowed that down, right? Because you were probably thinking about it for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then so you made your comeback, and so now where are you now? How do you feel about yourself now, and what do you want out of this business in the long run?
So I would like to wrestle. I would like to get good enough to wrestle folks like Bobby Fishley, Moriarty, these kinds of really good technical wrestlers that exist today. I'd love to go to MLW or AEW Dark or something like that. One day. I'm not that good yet. But that's my goal, is to learn from the people that are do have those things. I think that though, with my size and my ability, just athletic ability, I think that my character is going to be my main selling point, because I have a background that I can use now in the time to really make my character even more, especially as a heel, to bring my character up. And so I really want to use, I have a lot of ideas for character ideas. I don't really want to give them away, you know what I'm saying? But I think that's where I want to be able to do character work and stories. And I really like that kind of stuff, like Memphis a lot. I like, I think that I want to do those. And I love TWA. TWA, I think is we had a huge crowd last night. I won my first match back. Faces typically, are chasing. And so I'm loving it. I'm being the Dakota Outlaws Society is down there, and I'm being trained by Outlaw One, and he's just an amazing, kind, patient, but badass dude. And he's helping me out a lot. Thundercat's helping me out. And I mean,
he's hardcore champion, is he not?
Yeah, he is. He is though. And I'm gonna have to face him.
And you're wrestling him on January 1st.
Yeah, and his character is a jerk. You know what I mean? And he's been cheating to beat me, and I'm definitely gonna. But there are no rules in a hardcore match, so maybe I'll get to take one back on him.
Absolutely.
January 1st. Let's find out.
There it is. Yeah. So if you're in the Tennessee area, you want to see that match, you want to see some TWA action, Pikeville, Tennessee, January 1st. So if somebody's watching the show and they have never seen you wrestle before, describe your move set. Describe like who do you takes from a couple of guys? Do you like study this guy, study that guy? Like, are you a combination of like three different guys? Like, talk about what you do in the ring. Say if nobody's ever seen you wrestle before.
So I like to do strikes. I like to do a lot of I do flurries. I do a lot of variation. I do a spinning back fist, clubbing blow. I do knee shots. I do a lot of a submission work. I like to reverse. Zack Sabre Jr. Is one of my favorites, and I like the way that he goes into a submission and then switches it every 6 seconds. That thing he does.
Right.
I love that. I love the Johnny Saint counter style. I love that kind of British, reversal stuff. So I like reversals a lot. And then I do get the get the crowd hyped. And as a heel, I think that if I'm a little more, I can go between chicken shit or sorry,
We're rated R on YouTube.
Okay, so I go between a chicken shit heel and like
there's no monetization to screw up.
And then I can go between that and a cocky, bad guy. Like I really like in terms of bad guy work, Roddy Piper whenever he was a heel. I love him. MJF is amazing. He's done the best. Jim Cornette though. I don't agree with Jim Cornette a lot of the time, to be honest. But I like him a lot and I respect his opinion. And I do think that it's almost like, to be honest, Spot Fest, calling in the ring, two different things. I feel different. It's like when you write a song and you play it to perfection after you've played it, before, that's a good feeling. But when you jam and improv a song with somebody, it's nothing like it. So I like CM Punk a lot too. And I think that I try to emulate a little bit of his style to the way that he does matches. That's what I want to do. But I'm still green,
And how have you finished? Have you developed the finisher, or do you enjoy one in particular?
Yeah, so actually I haven't changed my finisher up. So I was doing a crucifix driver, which is some folks just start. It's not the best for my size. It's just not the thing that everybody can do, right?
Right.
Or that I can do to everybody. Let me say that.
Right.
And so I've come up with a new one last night, and I'm working on it. And it's the same setup for a crucifix driver. Like you come in, swing, but instead of connecting with the legs where you would, I just kick in the back of the head, keep the arm, slide through, knee in the face.
Okay.
Nice.
So that's called the conquest of bread. When I do the crucifix driver, it's called soup for my family.
Love it. Love it. Now you also are into music, right? I mean, like really, really well. I mean, you have a musical side to you. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, I'm in a band right now called the Sound Bandits. I've been making weird experimental music since I got a 4-track when I was
Fine, experimental.
So like sometimes it'll be reversed, or sometimes it'll be sped up or slowed down, but it'll be a normal instrument. But by the time that I've done stuff with it, it might not sound like what that instrument was. Ambient, where it doesn't necessarily have a good, clear stopping and starting point, where it doesn't have it's very anti-convention. You know what I mean? Trying to break convention, but still, we want to sound beautiful to the ear. We might have some dissonant stuff, just like life does. It's not always pretty, but for the most part, we want to have stuff that's catchy and still has at least somewhere in the song, but where you would have to kind of listen to it a few times if you want to hear it again. So,
do you and the band play gigs, or
yeah, we played 2 gigs this weekend actually.
Really?
We sat Friday night. We played our first 2 gigs. The Floor Is Yours at Barking Legs Theater, run by Marcus Patrick Ellsworth, who's awesome. And then we played at Exile. Ryan and oh man, sorry. It's
all right.
The people from Exile. I'm so sorry. Booked us for a show yesterday. And it was great. We had 250 people at our first show, so it was a festival. That was really sick. We did a good job. I think we probably scared some people with our weird music, but But
I mean, do you play all your stuff only, or do you play some covers, or what do you do?
So I do. When I busk, or when we busk and stuff like that, we'll do like busk stuff, and we'll play covers and stuff like that. I love like Animal Collective, and like I like a lot of indie bands and stuff like that. Radiohead. But I don't. But what we do is I play a MIDI controller live. It's like a keyboard that you can use sequencers and different sounds and stuff like that.
Right.
On it, it's got turn dials and stuff like that, so you can alter small elements of it. And then my friend KC, he's just an amazing guitarist, like a human jukebox, and he can play anything. If he hears it, he can play it. And so he plays. Our first album, for instance, was kind of like Doom plus Disney. So we used Disney samples, and then we like added Doom metal to it. And then but our second album was more pop psychedelia, and then third one was more post rock, fourth one was more EDM. So we definitely have a range of styles, and each album kind of focuses on one of those styles.
Awesome. Have you ever
have a backup career if wrestling doesn't work out?
What's that?
They always tell you have a backup career in mind if wrestling doesn't work out.
So I actually run a nonprofit. It's focused on the decriminalization of poverty. Some folks are sitting in jail waiting for trial because they don't have money to get out, and they're losing their job in the meantime, maybe their family, And so we try to help come in and pay their bail so that they don't have to go to a bonds person. And that way, whenever they go back to court, we get them money back and we can recycle it into the bail fund. We got 13 people out of jail last year.
Interesting. Awesome. That's awesome. So, back to the wrestling just for a bit. You mentioned earlier that you feel like you're still green, even though you've been wrestling. I mean, I know you had to break Paul's in there. Do you think you're gone back to be like to me? You've been wrestling you had two separate like runs going, and right now in your current run, you're now what 2-3 years in?
No. This is my current run. I'm only 8 matches in.
Oh, 8 matches in. I'm sorry.
No worries.
And ring rust is real. That's not just something they made up to, sound good on commentary and enhance an angle. Like ring rust is a real thing. You don't do it. You got to redevelop the muscles. I mean, I know guys have talked to us about it. Like the calluses go away, the things that you're just used to from, I was taking bumps, every weekend, 12, 52 weeks a year, every weekend or whatever it was. And then it's like I took a year off. I took 2 years off. Now I've started to go back again and everything hurts. Like I'd never done it before because all the calluses are gone. All the ways that I've conditioned myself to be used to it, they're gone. I have to rebuild all of it again.
So I would say that yes, in terms of like hitting the ropes, because those are still cables and those things leave marks on your back, but as far as bumps and like as far as movement, like timing or spacing my strikes, et cetera like that, I've been practicing those things in the interim. Like I really have. I've been teaching my friends like just enough to be able to like do like just to let them to feel safe with me doing some stuff, just so I can stay in, a little bit, or working with friends who do know, and just a little bit, ever. And so, and so when I say I'm green, I feel like under 5 years for a lot of people now, it's different. MJF obviously is under 3 years. Jungle Boy is different. You know what I mean? Like there are some people, but I feel like there's just certain things that there's certain like let's say negative things that could happen that I've never seen happen. I've never gigged. You know what I'm saying? So right. like you know what I'm saying? So there's just certain things that I haven't done yet that I think are like milestones. You know what I mean? Almost of like, how would you deal with the situation if this happened? I've been in a spot fest where something messed up and I've had to recuperate. And I can do that. You know what I'm saying? I know where I am in a match now. You know what I mean? Like, so there's certain things that I think but I'm still needing polish. You know what I mean? And I'm still needing to, there's certain things, like there's certain things that like, let's say somebody messes up and we're near the finish, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Calling something immediately and switching it up on pace, you know what I'm saying? Those kinds of things. There's just certain things that I'll have to see and I'll have to experience before I'll say that I don't think it's time per se. I think it's just events,
Especially if you're working heel, right? Because it's still the norm that if you're working heel, you're calling the match, right?
Yeah, right. Because you can cut off you can cut them off when you need to, and and stuff like that. So yeah, and I'm not working heel everywhere I go. I'm working face in TWA, and I'm working heel in ISWA. And it can depend. I mean, a veteran calls the match, generally. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it depends, but generally you're right. Generally.
How do you feel about the current product as far as mainstream goes, like WWE and AEW?
Oh, polar opposites. I think that WWE has an amazing roster. You know what I mean? Like an amazing roster. AEW also has an amazing roster, but it feels like WWE doesn't know how to tell a cohesive long-term story, except for Roman Reigns. You know what I mean?
They used to.
Yeah, they used to, definitely. And it feels like they are appealing too much to the casual fan in order to, and by doing that, they're trying to be like, this show this week, we want you to watch this thing, and if you happen to tune in, you might be like, what is going on?
Right.
Long enough to watch for a little while. Whereas AEW has subtlety, you know what I mean? You may not exactly pick up on some small element, but because there's so much going on so quickly and just continuously, and it's such a different product. I think AEW is moving the business forward in a way that wrestling fans have been claiming for 20 years, and 15 years, and so
I think you're right with the 20 years since 2000.
One of the things I really like about AEW, that I've always liked about AEW, and I feel like it's becoming more prominent now, is I feel like there's more Southern style in AEW. There's more of that attention to simple angles, simple stories that you tell up over weeks. You get to your blow-off match. There's not a lot of ridiculousness. There's not a lot of overcomplication. And, people will say things about like, oh, I see WCW. And it's like, well, not everything WCW was a bad idea. Yeah. WCW had some good ideas for a while there because, again, they came from a Southern wrestling company where it was simple angles every week. You're fighting over titles. You're fighting over personal issues. Maybe they throw some MacGuffin in there, like, with the the ring that MJF has. And I mean, that's straight out of, the Southern Wrestling playbook. Like, it's not a title belt, but it's something valuable. It's something that people want. And as long as everybody involved act like, no, that's a prize and I won it, you can tell a very simple but very compelling story about two guys getting in a fight over this MacGuffin.
Exactly. And I feel like maybe also WWE has so many people on their roster that it's hard for them to establish a character and what they would fight for and what they would, and because their scripts are written so like everything they're told to say, almost all of them, not, there's exceptions, but almost everybody pretty much has to go off a script, and so they can't say what they would just say off the cuff. They can't just be like Eddie Kingston and CM Punk or or CM Punk and MJF now or Danielson, and they can't just kind of like run with it what the crowd's saying.
What's up, Paul? What's up, Classic Johnny Potter in the house? Little Classic Johnny Potter there. I know he's your favorite, Keith.
He is one of my favorites. He told me a great story about the last time he was out there manager of champions.
He's a dastardly manager up in our area there, Jay.
And he is.
All right, so
we got some of that down here. Mr. Keith is one of them. He's a dastardly manager.
See that? They have a Mr. Keith, Professor.
Nice.
Like that? They have a Mr. Keith who is a dastardly manager, and I think that if the Professor were a manager in wrestling, he would be dastardly as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, the gallery over here agrees.
Thundercat's back. He's like, this dude is good at his work, at his ring work.
Oh, thank you. That means so much coming from you.
Manager of champions. Who? Rob Noxious?
No, he's talking about himself, and he is. He's got many champions under contract, and he's taking the standard fee of at least 60%.
We're talking about Jae Ex No-One. All right. So anyway, speaking of you, brother. So what would you consider? You've had 8 matches in, though. I understand that, but if you could pick an opponent that you just love working with, you guys have good chemistry, maybe. Not to shun the rest of your opponents, but like, is there that one guy so far, that you really work well with?
I would say, Not to show anybody else. Of the 8 matches since I've been back, not like all time because I had about 100 before, but I would say Outlaw one that I'm going to be facing January 1st.
You are.
We fill each other out real well, I think. And then I think that Devin Diamond he's an excellent heel, and he knows how to tell you what you need to know and be there where you need to be. As far as ever, Talon Williams probably was the best.
Was like your best match. You figure it was your best match. You feel?
Well, I don't know. I would say that my best match was one of these 2 recent ones, but I would say the best person I've ever been in the ring with. That just like we never say a thing, but he could just show me with his body. You know what I mean? Like exactly what he wanted me to do. Oh man, he's amazing. He should be discovered. Thundercat. I haven't been in the ring with him yet though. But it's like him telling me that I was good at ring work. That means so much to me because he's phenomenal, like Ring of Honor level phenomenal.
Yeah, we've been singing his praises since he came on. That like, why has nobody snapped him up yet? He is so good.
Another great guy, Devin Ayer. Last night he fought Big Cash, and Cash is only a year in. He's giant, and he can flip. He can do all the stuff. Like he's.
Yeah, you were telling us about him pre-show. Tell us a little bit more about him because from what you're describing, he seems like a guy like a Luchasaurus, right?
He's maybe a little shorter than Luchasaurus, but broader, but still muscular. Just muscular dude. He was athletic all throughout high school and stuff like that. He's brand new though, and he's only a year in. He fought Devin Ayer last night. Devin Ayer is amazing. And Thundercat and Devin Ayer fought each other recently. Big Cash and Thundercat have fought each other recently. Oh man, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Throw down the gauntlet, why don't you, Thundercat?
Every week in the locker room, he says, "Hey, I'm facing you next week," and I'm like, "Really?" And he's like, "I don't know."
Awesome. What's up, Big Chris? As always, brother. What's up? How about them Jets? I'm surprised Chris showed up, man. My Eagles beat his Jets, Keith. You know what I'm saying?
Hasn't everyone beat his Jets at least once by now?
Oh no, they went and they beat Tennessee. They beat Tennessee Titans a few weeks ago.
Thundercat is from Alabama, by the way. So
he is. I know. So
last night, I don't know if you guys will talk about that, but
love this business. Greg says, "Yeah, I that's the thing, Jay. We meet these guys. We meet Greg. Like we had Greg on over a year ago, and we still talk to him because and that's cool because." Keith and I started this thing. We just wanted to talk wrestling. A bunch of guys sitting around talking wrestling. And through interviewing all the indie wrestlers from all over the country, we've even had a couple guys from over in Switzerland. Meeting all these guys and becoming friends with them and keeping track of their careers, man. It's been a blast just getting to know these guys and rooting. We're rooting for all you guys. If we had our way, you guys would get signed by, make your dreams come true by AEW or whoever you want to be signed by. And a few guys that have been on their show have been signed. So, I mean, not that we had anything to do with it, Keith.
No, they tended to have connections, but we do have one or two that, no connections, but they've managed to work hard, get those tryouts and hit it out of the park. And
we've also made friends with a lot of promoters. So there's that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jay, for you, that's my next question. For you, what do you want out of pro wrestling? What is your end goal for pro wrestling?
So, I would like to be able to put a character, especially my heel character. I would like to use my heel character as a means to. I would like to tell some great stories. I like to tell some great stories in this business and work with great people. And I mean, I don't want to get too political, but I like Jesse Ventura.
Okay.
And I think that he's got some good ideas. So I'll say that.
Win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat.
Yeah.
All right. So my question really is to the point of, because you mentioned earlier, like if you got signed by somebody, that'd be great. But if you didn't, it wouldn't be the end of the world for you because you just love doing it, right?
Oh yeah, this is amazing. I just want to have great matches, and I want to be able to learn how to do, reversal after reversal after reversal, and submissions and all sorts of catch and chain. I want to just learn and learn and learn until I can teach and teach and teach, and then you know what I mean. I just love it. So it doesn't matter if I would love to work at AEW. I'd love to work at New Japan or something like that. That's a dream, big, huge dreams. Sure. But I would. But if I can make a living, you know what I mean, even that would be phenomenal, doing it.
Awesome. So with that in mind, we ask all our guests this, especially guys who are young. We don't ask like 20-year veterans this, and we don't ask promoters this ever. We like to ask guys like yourself who are still relatively young and are still, have these big dreams. If you could book yourself against anybody alive, dead, retired, or that still wrestles, who would that be and why?
Bryan Danielson.
Without a fact, you didn't blink an eye, Keith.
I met him once at a signing.
Oh, cool.
When I was very first starting in, and he's just, he's the one who made me after kind of dipping after the invasion angle didn't go so well, coming back in a little bit when ECW started to do one night stand kind of thing. I was sitting and watching Ring of Honor. He was the guy who got me back in, and I said, "Oh, if he's somebody my size and he's the best, then maybe I can be really good." You know what I mean? And so I said, it made me. I was also like, "How do they do that?" Like that was like, you know what I'm saying? I was just like, I was worked, and he worked me. Somebody who was just very much, I know how this stuff works.
Well, how much did you get to pick his brain? Did you get to talk to him like a good did you tell him that you wrestled or anything like that?
Yeah, I told him I wrestled. I went through the line, and then at the end, I was like, man, I've been following your career for because this is someone who's in WWE. I was like, I've been following your career since you were in Ring of Honor. I watched your Low Key versus you whenever you guys did like amateur wrestling for the first, for the first 30 minutes of the match. And I told him a little bit about when I took just like a bunch of chops in a battle royal one time, and he was like, "Yeah, Roderick Strong taught me 72 times," and we talked a little bit, and then I asked like everybody in the crowd who was waiting in line, I was like, "Does anybody know who Bryan Danielson is?" And nobody except for one other dude who's like in the very back raised his hand, and I was like, "Do you mind if I go to the back and come back through? Because I don't want to take anybody's time." But apparently, me and this dude are a little bit, probably going to be a little bit more like, aware of your career than at that time he was about to lose to Sheamus in 15 seconds. This is like that time.
That time.
Yeah. So.
Well, I'm going to tell you a story because now this reminds me of something because we actually know a wrestler that got to have his dream match in September. And it actually is kind of a very similar story to yours. His name is Merrick Miami. He's been on the show a few times. He is a giant fan of Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder. He was even Broski of the Week once on the YouTube show. So a few months ago, he comes out. He challenges Cardona to a match. His promoter says, "Okay, I'm going to surprise him." So he gets in touch with Cardona. He gets everything set up, and he got to wrestle and beat. He will come after me if I don't mention that he beat Matt Cardona.
Whoa!
And now he and Matt Cardona talk a lot. They're basically friends. So
that's awesome. That's heartwarming.
What I'm saying is it can happen. Don't give up on that dream. It can happen. Sometimes you do get to meet your hero.
Even in the weird scenario like this, where when Bryan Danielson is done or he thinks he's done with AEW, and he starts, maybe he might have aspirations, or maybe he might like have the itch come back after 5 years or so, and all of a sudden he wants to wrestle somewhere, and he gets booked at an event that you just happen to be at as well. You never know. You never know. I'm just saying, it's just you both are in the wrestling business, and this business, has taught me anything, is expect the unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me of the story, the one you just told. There's this great guy named Chip Hazard. Him and Talon, who I mentioned earlier, run a podcast called The Movement, along with Roger Sierra, who used to be one of my training buddies, and when I first got trained, and they and Chip was running a show, and my parents, it was the first show my parents were going to be at. They were going to wrestle, and they discouraged me from wrestling, and so they were there, and I saw the ref and my booker and my opponent all talking, and I was like, oh, I did something wrong. I didn't shake somebody's hand or something, and I go over there, and they stop talking, you know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, and so I'm like, sure, I did something wrong then. So so we laid everything out. I get to the ring, we go to the finish, and he goes up top for the thing that he's going to do. I hear a smack, and I know it's a steel chair. A manager's like, pin him. I pinned him 1, 2, 3 for the championship, and I didn't know I was winning. Like it was. Oh,
really?
Yeah, it was amazing. They did that for me. It was amazing.
So your reaction then was
Shawn Michaels. I was like crying over the top.
Yeah, it was genuine
right there. It was awesome, man. It was an amazing.
Unlike Shawn Michaels, who probably weren't telling your manager to get out of your camera shot. I'm just saying Shawn was a bit of a dick at that point.
That would have been so good. If I would have known about that and been able to work because I was a heel, that would have been pretty funny, though. Matt, get out of my camera. I have to see as I win the thing. Oh, man.
The thing about Matt Cardona, though, was that not only did he put the kid over, but he's not lost contact with them ever since.
That's so sweet.
He's still trying to help him and giving him advice, and they keep in contact, and that's awesome. And we think the kid, we already before that thought the kid was going places. Oh, yeah. Let alone now. I mean, now there's no living with him now.
He's former GCW champion.
He beat Matt freaking Cardona. So I mean, that's the thing. So he's got that under, that he, if his ego wasn't already, he just got shot through the roof. But I mean, behind the scenes though, nicest guy ever.
I love talking to Miami.
Good kid.
One of my guys I always go up to, and I always have a conversation with him every show.
Merrick, Miami.
I'll check him out.
What's that?
I'll check him out. I haven't seen his work.
Oh yeah, check him out. Look, if you want to see him wrestle, and if you want to actually see that match, you would go to www. That's 3 W's. Mm-hmm. So www.a wrestling on YouTube. So if you go on YouTube and you type in 3 W's and an A and then wrestling, that match is there somewhere. You'll find it.
I'm sure it'll pop up pretty quick.
Yeah, you put in Matt Cardona. You put in Matt Cardona. You search Matt Cardona, it pops right up. But it is really good. Yeah. So yeah, it's refreshing, Keith, to hear that no matter what happens, whether he gets signed or whether he just does this for the, until his body tells him no, that how much passion you have for this business. You know what I mean? Because some guys most of the guys, and listen, to all the guys, 90% of the guys we interview have passion for this business, but there's that 10% that we can see that are like, man, they're borderline or something like that, but we never let on that we can sense that or know that. But with you, just to listen to you talk about the business, just listening to how you feel about the business, we can tell you love it. You don't do this to get rich. You do this because you love it.
You got the sickness. You do it for a hot dog and a handshake. I can tell.
Am I wrong?
Don't tell the promoters that. Yeah.
I was going to say that earlier when you were talking about I just want to get in there. I just want to get good and all that. I'm like, stop saying that in public. One of these guys. Hey kid, I heard you. I heard you just want to get good. I can do that for you. Money? What's money? We don't need to talk about no money. It's fine.
So, do you regret the hiatus that you took?
No, I can't. There was so much that happened during that time. That was like really that was really that just changed the way things. That just changed the way that. So first, the the world changed, the business
Right.
changed in relation to that toxic
Right.
masculinity, things like that. Like there's a lot that's
Yeah.
changed, and I think that it's gotten more positive. So I do feel, and also I changed. You know what I mean? If I wouldn't have gone through the things that I went through and experienced things I went through, I don't know if I would have been. I don't know if I would have ever been as good as I can be now. Like, you know what I'm saying? I learned so much in that time, and also so much that I can use for my character, especially as a heel. There's so much like that'll be that I can use. It's going to be. I don't want to give away, but I can.
Do not give it away.
Yeah, but
I'm sure everybody's going to want to see it.
Yes, make them pay for it. Make
Mhm.
them pay for
That's
it.
it. That's it. So if you could go back, if your present self can go back to your just starting out self and give that person advice, what would you give? What kind of advice would you give yourself?
Learn to walk and talk. Don't try to do the not because of Ring of Honor stuff and like the spots aren't great and like
Right.
it can't be great. But if you learn like the walk and talk stuff is just so. Once you learn how to do that, it's it feels live. It feels it feels there. It's amazing. It's not that would have been what I would tell myself. Like really embrace walk and talk. Don't try so much to try and do what you see in Dragon Gate or something like that. You know what I mean? Like
How would you
Especially
rate
a lot of
your?
these guys had probably 5-10 years experience when they were doing it. That was part of what made Ring of Honor so good, is that you basically were picking the cream of the crop, the best of the best, were all coming together under one show and just doing what they could do.
How would you rate your mic and promo skills?
So, if I've given speeches and I think that have been outside of wrestling,
Okay.
that I think have been top notch. I think that I had people who I really respected give me very good praise.
Cool.
Off the cuff, it would depend on. I have to slow myself down. I have to know what. Now, off the cuff, maybe a little bit less, but I'm working on that. And if I know what I'm going to say and I practiced it, yeah, I'm like I can do really good. But if I'm just off the cuff, I need to work on that a little bit in terms of.
I gotta duck out for a minute. My phone's having a heating issue. I'll try to come back.
No worries.
There you go. All right, we're losing the professor. In the meantime, Jay, we're gonna flip the script, brother.
All right.
And that is, if there is a question that you could ask me, like, so you're interviewing me now,
All right.
and you get to ask me anything you want.
Yeah.
What would that be?
So, who is your favorite wrestler?
Well, I'm old enough, and I'm gonna age myself here to tell you that my favorite wrestler of all time was the Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yeah. Heck yeah, he's really good.
And the Macho Man Randy Savage, when I first saw him wrestle, was back in the early '80s, mid to late '80s, I'd say. When they brought him in, and basically, like, it seemed like overnight he was Intercontinental Champion, because they showed a clip on all the wrestling programs, on Superstars of Wrestling and Wrestling Challenge and Primetime Wrestling. They showed clips of him beating Tito Santana for the Intercontinental title, and Keith's back. You all right
Sort of.
there? You're sort
Yeah,
of back?
I tried turning the brightness down and whatnot with I got with tech support here. I'm still getting some more.
Oh, we lost him again. Because when he does come back, I want you to ask him that same question, because you're gonna love his answer. I won't give it away. But the Macho Man was, yeah, and so Macho Man was the reason why I root for the heels. Macho Man's the reason why I root for the heels in the movies. Macho Man's the reason why, like, from then till now, for 40 years, I've always rooted for the heels over. Like, I always want the bad guy to win. I don't care how he wins. As long as the bad guy wins, I'm the guy. I'm the guy at the local indie shows When everybody's cheering the hero, I'm cheering the bad guy. And when the bad guy does something extremely bad, I'm standing up going, brilliant. That was they're all looking at me like I'm crazy. But yeah, I love that. And then also Roddy Piper is a close second to the Macho Man, because Roddy Piper is the reason why I fell in love with professional wrestling. Because Roddy Piper, when I was around 8 years old, my stepfather used to take me to local TV tapings here in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and Hamburg, Pennsylvania. And they would tape Superstars of Wrestling, and they would tape Wrestling Challenge. All right. And one of the segments that they used to do was Piper's Pit. Piper's Pit was Roddy Piper would interview wrestlers and things like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So back in the 80s, he interviewed Hogan, he interviewed Macho Man, he interviewed Jake the Snake, he interviewed Jimmy Superfly Snuka, and those guys. And I was actually there. I was actually there in the building when he smashed the coconut over.
Oh.
I was 8 years. It was 1986. I was 9 years old.
That's the year I was born.
So yeah, well, there you go. I was 9 when you were born. So there you go.
My sister was 11.
There it is. Yes, he bashed Jimmy over the head with a coconut. I was about 50 yards away from that.
Wow.
And I looked at that and I was like, all right. I was hooked right there. I fell in love with that was the moment. Some people can tie it down to a moment. That was my moment. I tied it down to the moment where Professor Keith needs a computer. The thing about it, Thundercat, is he has a computer, but he always tells me that the laptop's on the fritz. And whenever he's on this show, he's always using his phone. Are you, Jay? Are you using your phone?
No, I'm using my laptop. I actually don't have a phone.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. He always uses his phone, but this is the first time, I swear to you, this is the first time ever that we've lost him like that.
Oh, no.
But I hope I answered your question with the Macho Man Randy Savage.
Thank you. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, like I said, I'll give you the key. I'll give you the professor's answer. I'll give him a minute to come back, because I'm afraid that the minute I do it, he's going to pop up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So in the meantime, I'll say that, like, is there any wrestler besides Bryan Danielson that wrestles nowadays that you like? He's your favorite that wrestles now?
Mike Quackenbush.
Okay.
But also, but I mean, but Alex Shelley. Let's see. Zack Sabre Jr. Sarah Del Rey doesn't wrestle anymore. Let's see. Hangman Adam Page, Kenny Omega, the Lucha Brother. Like, I love AEW. Like, I have an AEW mark. Damn,
I'm glad you love AEW. My son loves AEW. My son really tried, because I'm old school, right? And so WWE is my first love, but WWE, I haven't paid attention to WWE for like 2-3 years. Like back then I was watching it. I would never miss a Raw. I would never miss a SmackDown. Where AEW, I really want AEW to succeed. If anything, it's to give wrestlers to go and succeed in this business that's not WWE. That's not under the thumb of Vince McMahon. And, so here comes Keith. I hope he's with us long enough where you can ask him that same exact question.
Yeah, I think
Keith. Who's your favorite wrestler?
Keith, who's your favorite wrestler of all time? I did not disclose that information.
Of all time is The Undertaker. The Undertaker is why I watch this business. Current favorites, CM Punk has always been someone I respect. Danielson, obviously. There's a few guys, like I say, that we know personally that I'm a big fan of, and I want to see them succeed. Merrick Miami, who we mentioned.
Greg's favorite wrestler is himself.
He's really good.
And technically, he's on the list. He can be a mark for himself. It's fine. He's allowed.
Right.
He should be in the PWI, like, for real, if he's not already. I think so. Oh, yeah. Thundercat's really, really good. There's guys on the PWI who aren't as good as Thundercat.
Have you ever heard of, and Keith knows who this guy is, but have you ever heard of the Wolfman? He used to be in early ECW days. And when it was making its transition from Eastern Championship Wrestling to ECW, you might be too young for that because you did tell me you're almost 10 years younger than I am.
I do research on older stuff though.
Anyway,
but I don't know this character.
okay, well,
I don't think he ever made TV. I think
the reason why I bring him up is that he was recently on this show, and he recently was talking about that exact same subject. And man, I just lost my train of thought there.
PWI?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
he was talking
on
about what a
500.
thrill it was that he got into that list.
It was like
He was like number
498.
498 out of 500, but he was
But
like,
hey, you know what? How many wrestlers were active in the United States at that point? So I totally
got
agree
copies.
with you.
Keith, he's got copies in a box.
He
Of
should, because you know what?
Of that magazine of PWI.
He should.
that
If
has
it
him
was
ranked
me, I would do
498.
the exact same thing. Because you know what? Think about it. How many wrestlers total were active in the United States at that point? And you can make fun of it, and you can go,
I'm not making fun of it.
I don't know. I felt like there was a tone. You know, and you can say like, oh, I was only 498. It's like, okay, but out of all of the wrestlers in the United States at that point, you made a list of the top 500. So
honestly, if you watch the interview, Keith, I actually praised him for that. I was like, dude, that's awesome.
I know, but I also know you, and I feel like you have a tone.
498. I'm just saying, you know, if he was 398, then we're talking.
Hey, he made the list, and he should absolutely be freaking proud of that.
Definitely, yeah. That's something to be. I mean, yeah. Like, there's probably tens of thousands of wrestlers. You know what I mean? And so that's amazing. That's amazing.
So yeah, the Undertaker got hooked Keith in. Keith, tell that story. That story of you watching the what was it? The funeral parlor.
Yeah, it was an episode of the funeral parlor. It was the one where the Ultimate Warrior was on. And I was actually really happy when I watched the Last Ride documentary that Taker had said that was the point where he knew the character had clicked and it would work and it would just go. The Ultimate Warrior is on there. Paul Bearer is interviewing him. Taker pops out of the casket from behind him, nails him, beats the crap out of him. They throw him in the custom-made Ultimate Warrior casket, and they lock it in there. And my brother was the wrestling fan. I wasn't. And I'm like, as he's coming out, I'm like, who's that guy? Oh, that's The Undertaker. And the weird-looking guy, that's his manager, Paul Bearer. Is he on this show a lot? Fairly, every couple weeks or so. Okay, I'm going to watch this now because I like that guy.
Sting was the one for me, kind of like that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
There's a name. I actually got to see Sting wrestle live once at Philadelphia Spectrum before they tore it down. It was an episode of Nitro, and he rappelled down from the ceiling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and just started beating the crap out of the NWO with the bat, and it was awesome.
It's amazing. The only shows I've been to that are like...
No, go ahead.
The only shows I've been to that are like WWE presented other than like local shows, honestly, was a WWE ECW event.
Mm-hmm.
And that was awesome. I mean, Rob Van Dam wrestled, Hardcore Holly, but it was one of their dark shows and stuff like that. Big Show wrestled, and it was Sabu was there, Balls Mahoney, Dean Malenko didn't wrestle, but he was there, and he was like, and I got to meet him too.
Cool.
It was a really cool show. It was more memorable, honestly, for like just getting to meet people, because it was a dark show. You know what I mean? It was the first, I think, ECW dark show, maybe.
If people want to watch your matches that don't live in the Tennessee area and we can't just go to the show, how can we check you out if we wanted to check out your matches?
So there's an awesome person who helps us out around all around the area, named Kim Davis, who does Kimberly Davis, and she takes video and stuff like that and puts it up. If you go to her page, I actually put in a link in the YouTube comments. Also, a link to my matches that I've done so far. But if you want to watch TWA as a whole and ISWA, which is the next show is the 17th this month.
Yep.
That's where I work. You can go on there. You can look at Tennessee Wrestling Association. There's a great guy named Bobby Slam who does a lot of our promotional materials and stuff like that in our social media. And Ed Henley, I believe. They're doing great work and they're amazing. And so if you look up me though, you can look up Jae Ex No-One on Facebook, send a message or whatever, and I can give you the links if necessary, if you need to. And if you just want to say hi. And also there's a guy who helped me get in this time. We actually met out in just like my hometown and happened to mention where that we used to wrestle. And he was like, what? And he got it back in. Tanner Nix, he helped me get back into the business, so I thought I'd give him a shout out too.
Awesome. So is there anything that we didn't cover? Oh, did you tell them about the billboard?
I'm not sure which billboard.
Well, Greg will let us know before we leave, but if you is there anything that we didn't cover that you might want to talk about or promote or anything like that you got coming up?
So Wrestling for a Cause is an amazing organization that does work around here. I wanted to shout them out. As far as everybody at TWA is amazing. They've just been really awesome folks. I think the business, the locker room is just so friendly and so open and so willing to help each other, grow.
He says we have an electronic billboard now in the next town over. It helps too.
Oh, I had no idea.
There
I had no
you
idea
go.
about this. Nobody told me about the
So
billboard.
that promotes you locally. Boom, on the billboard, man.
Yeah.
What highway is that there, Greg? That's awesome. But yeah, dude, we wish you nothing but the best. Whatever you want out of this business, we hope that you get it.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure talking to you tonight, and it was a pleasure meeting you. It was also good luck with the family. Good luck with I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. Thundercat, take care of that kid of yours, man. You got a good Christmas. Is this the first Christmas or the second Christmas? I forget. Might be the first.
I think it might be the first, yeah.
It might be the first Christmas for the kid. Am I wrong, Thundercat? Thundercat Jr.'s first Christmas? Tell me if I'm wrong. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great and wonderful Christmas. And it was such a pleasure meeting you. Such a pleasure talking with you tonight.
It was an honor. Thank you.
And Keith, you got any parting gifts for him, man?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for your time as always. We always appreciate you guys coming on. We can't do this without you. You were a great guest. So
Highway
easy.
35, and it is his daughter's first Christmas.
Oh,
That's what I thought.
Thanks to Bobby Slam, and I think it's Highway 35, and it's my daughter's first Christmas. Merry Christmas.
I thought so. I remembered when we had talked to him, he hadn't had his daughter yet.
That's correct. Right.
She was still on the way.
She was close.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Slam is awesome.
Huh?
Bobby Slam is awesome.
Bobby Slam is awesome.
He's a great commentator.
Shout outs to Bobby Slam and shout outs to everybody else. Thank you so much, Thundercat, Greg, for chiming in like you did, supporting the guys. Thanks for the guest appearance from Keith's favorite manager, classic Johnny Potter. 7.5 months young. There you go. There you go. All right, man. Many blessings to you there, Thundercat. Merry Christmas. Jae Ex No-One, you're the man. Thank you so much for coming on. Merry Christmas to you as well. Happy New Year, and hope you stay in touch with us, brother.
Thank you. It was an honor. Thank you for having me.
We loved having you. Did I tell you that hour go quick?
Yeah, that's quick.
Seriously. All right, man. So, yeah, Merry Christmas, and Merry Christmas to everybody else, and we'll see everybody next week on Around the Turnbuckle, Sunday at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Keith and I will have another guest, hot and furious as usual. And
I believe that's our. Is that our Urban Legend show? I think I have that correct.
No, he is actually Urban Legend is on the 26th, which is the Sunday after Christmas.
Okay, I know somebody was promoting the 12th, and now I feel very bad that I'm on the air.
You know who's on next week? JCM.
I knew it. I apologize to JCM because
I
I
do
just
too because
his face
I had another brain fart. I'm getting old, Jay. I'm getting old.
Yeah.
Another brain fart.
JCM gets a free
JCM is
shot.
a local wrestler who has been
out.
out for 10 months with injuries and personal matters, and he is making his return soon. And he wanted to come on and talk about it, so he's going to be on here next Sunday at 6:00 live. He wrestles mostly in the Pennsylvania area, so we're looking forward to seeing JCM. It's been a while. It's been a minute. So Jay, thanks for coming on, my man. Professor, love you as always. We'll see everybody next time on Around the Turnbuckle.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you gonna do, brother? Oh yeah! Woo! What? If you smell what the rock